everyone, welcome back to my videos. I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about coding boot camps and really what they all entail and even my experience with coding boot camps and the one that I attended. So pretty much all of my advice and information and insight into them are going to be based on my experience and others' experiences that I have spoke to. And I think this is a really popular topic right now, coding boot camps, because a lot of people are looking into coding and technology, and if boot camps are the way to go. So I hope this information is helpful to you all, and if you're considering going to a boot camp, I would definitely suggest watching this till the end, and I hope to answer some questions for you. And if I didn't answer any questions that you're still having about boot camps, please ask down below and I will definitely inform you about them to my best ability. And as always, come say hi to me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, and let's begin. So what are coding boot camps and what do they entail? Coding Bootcamp really is an intensive series or an intensive program that teaches you how to code, and that can really vary bootcamp to bootcamp, from teaching you front-end or back-end development to more styling focused. Bootcamps really vary. The one I attended focused on full stack development, and it really covered JavaScript, React, Mongo database, and Express, so the MERN full stack. And I found it's basically an intensive track to get you to start coding. To really build a strong foundation is, I believe, the coding bootcamp's main objective. And it should be your main objective when you're going into it, either to gain a solid foundation or to continue building on your current knowledge of coding. Bootcamps are a great way for anyone who's really looking to do a career switch, or just getting out of school and really thinking about going down the coding path, or even if you want to do some kind of freelancing. I took a coding bootcamp because I got a bit of the basics in my undergrad, HTML and CSS, but I really wanted to pursue coding full-time further, and I didn't want to go back to school for another 4 years right away. So rather than doing something like computer science, I wanted to still learn a lot about coding and really pursue it as a career. And another reason I wanted to do a bootcamp was because I felt like my skills weren't strong enough to start freelancing at that point, and freelancing and starting my own company is something that I definitely want to do in the future. So having the ability to just pick up and have really strong skills in coding was really important to me. Another common question I get asked is, well, how much do coding bootcamps cost? And I think the answer is it varies. It can vary from a part-time course to a full-time course. However, the full-time courses usually range in Canadian dollars for about $10,000, and that is for about 12 weeks in total that you will be going Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 pretty much, but really it's like your entire world is that boot camp during that time. You know, you sleep, eat, and breathe at the school, and weekends are filled with coding if you choose it to be. But I think if you are going to do a boot camp, you should choose the time that you're doing the boot camp to just be full on learning and growing, because it is you're paying so much money for it. You might as well get your money's worth by fully investing your time into the program. So how do you decide what coding bootcamp is right for you? I think there are a few things to look out for when you're looking for a bootcamp to attend. First of all, do your research. Go online, see what kind of jobs you're interested in and what they are required, or what is required for the job. So for example, if you find a bunch of jobs that require JavaScript and the framework React, then look for boot camps that teach those things. And anything else that you're kind of looking at for jobs, kind of align those to the boot camps that you're interested in attending, because then after you're done the boot camp, you're applying for jobs that you're actually interested in. Talk to others in your community. Reach out to people on LinkedIn or friends through friends who have attended some of the boot camps that you are interested in. There's no better review than to talk to someone who's actually gone to the boot camp, or an employer who hires from the boot camp, or if you have a friend who's an employer that does some hiring, kind of talk to them about what boot camps that have a good reputation in the city and which ones to kind of stay away from. And look, when I was deciding what boot camp to go to, I really took all of that into consideration. The most important thing was considering not only what kind of job I wanted to have after, but the longevity of what I was being taught. Is this kind of something that's going to be around for a long time? And I mean, JavaScript I think is the fastest growing language right now, so clearly, going to a bootcamp that teaches something like JavaScript is not going to harm you in any way, or your future. It's going to be really beneficial for you. And then, I mean, frameworks will come and go. So I went to a bootcamp that taught, as mentioned, React, and eventually, something will overcome and, outdo React, and there's always gonna be different frameworks and stuff. But as long as you have a really strong foundation of JavaScript and then how to kind of work with different frameworks. At the end of the day, once you learn one, it's very easy to pick up others. Another big factor for me when I was choosing my bootcamp was reputation. I wanted to go to a bootcamp that had a really strong reputation, and when I told people I went there, I could be proud to say that I attended that bootcamp. What job can you get from attending a coding bootcamp? I think that depends on what bootcamp you're attending and what technologies you're learning, but I also think it's important to keep in mind that if you're coming from a non-technical background and you're just new going into a bootcamp with no coding experience or no technical experience prior, be realistic, set your expectations realistic. And what I mean by that is you're not going to leave the bootcamp and become the next Steve Jobs, maybe the next day. Maybe some will, but I would say that's very unlikely. Be realistic and in your expectations, but also too that there's so much room for growth and opportunity after you leave your bootcamp. So just because you might not get the job of your dreams right after your bootcamp, keep on hustling and working on the side with your coding and your projects and meeting different people, and you will continue to progress in your coding journey. It just might not be the first job you get. When I was going to a coding bootcamp, it kind of can bring on a lot of anxiety, especially in a very competitive environment, in a way where everyone's end goal is to find a job in the same industry you are, and it can kind of bring on, oh my goodness, like, well, I'm not as good as so-and-so, or they're gonna find a job way easier, or they already have a job lined up. You have to not focus on any of that. Just focus on yourself. Your timeline with your job and career will be different than everyone else's, but I think the main thing is just really work hard at it and keep on going with it. The timeline for getting a job after a coding bootcamp can be anywhere from the next day to 3 months to 6 months. And I also think that depends on a few things. Your skill level after you leave the bootcamp, like how skilled were you before you came in and then left, as well as how hard did you work during the bootcamp. I think a lot of people go into bootcamps and think, okay, like I'm attending this bootcamp, now that I have that on my resume, it'll be so easy to get a job. But the reality is you have to work so hard during the time at a bootcamp. You have to put in late nights, early mornings, weekends, and really master what you are learning in order to stand out from the crowd once you leave the bootcamp. The name of a bootcamp on paper is not going to be enough, especially in the tech industry. You really need to have the skills to show it. And I think that is so important to highlight, because a lot of people are still caught up in, oh, I have, this degree, or I went to this school or this bootcamp. But at the end of the day, especially if you're doing something that's very technical and a skill that you have to actually show that you're capable of doing, it doesn't matter what school you went to or what bootcamp you went to. It's more, can you do it? Well, let's see what you can do. Let's see your portfolio. Can you do this coding challenge? And if you can't, well, then maybe you're not right for the job. So I think just keeping on working really hard is so important, and not relying on the piece of paper that's provided for you at the end. How easy is it to get a job from a bootcamp? Well, I think that kind of relates to my last Q&A about how easily can you get a job, or how long does it take to get a job after a bootcamp. And once again, it goes back to it's networking, hard work, persistence, and then however much you do of that, the easier it will be to get a job. You really cannot just sit on your butt and rely on the piece of paper that you'll get at the end of the bootcamp. You have to hustle. I think a lot of people forget that, and then coding bootcamps can kind of get a bad rap, because a lot of people, it's human nature, I think, a lot of people just rely on the paper or the reputation of the bootcamp rather than putting in the work themselves, and that is something that a lot of people don't really do. It sounds weird, but a lot of people just rely on that, and in reality, it's so important to just really hustle and work hard and meet people and continue to grow your skills. The bootcamp is more like a foundation, a really good foundation, and then it's up to you to do the rest. They're not going to do everything for you at the end of the day. So would I recommend going to a bootcamp? Absolutely. I would make sure though it's the right one. I mean, I'm going based on my experience, and I had such a great experience at a bootcamp, but I put in so much work. I put in so much time. My whole summer when I was taking it was completely consumed by the bootcamp. I don't even know if I saw my friends hardly, or my boyfriend, or anyone. I put my head down and hustled so hard on it. And so I think, yes, I would recommend a bootcamp, but only if you are willing to put in long hours, work really hard, and be prepared to be really uncomfortable. You're learning new things at a very quick pace, and sometimes that can make you doubt your learning abilities and your capabilities of, is this something that I can be doing? But I think as long as you go in with the right mindset and the time and the space and the energy to work hard, I definitely suggest going to a coding bootcamp, especially if you're looking for a career switch, or it's a really great way to get into the technology industry. I mean, at the end of the day, everything you can teach yourself now. Like, I mean, you can go online and take a million coding courses and become an incredible developer. But the benefit of going to a bootcamp is really expanding your network, learning at a really, really quick pace, and there's so many different mentors and teachers around to help you that you're going to excel your learning at a very quick pace and get the job you want way quicker. I hope you guys enjoyed this video about what I recommend bootcamps and what really are coding bootcamps and my experience with one. If you have any further questions about it, please comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye guys.